morning, everyone. I know I stand between you and hearing from the amazing David John, so I promise not to take too much time. I wanted to thank you for this opportunity, and I wanted to applaud the efforts of Teach for America for creating pathways into the teaching profession for Deferred Action for Childhood Arrival recipients, otherwise known as DACA. If you've been following the immigration debate, you know how courageous and significant this decision is, so it definitely does deserve some applause. I wanted to take some time today to talk to you about the administration's equity and opportunity agenda and also share with you the work of our initiative. We are the only initiative that is federally focused exclusively on the educational advancement of Hispanics. Later today, you're going to have the opportunity to hear from one of our amazing commissioners, Joanne Gama, so that'll be a great treat. Our goal is to expand the educational outcomes and opportunities from cradle to career for Hispanics to ensure that they receive a complete and competitive education that prepares them for college and the workforce. Our colleague, Kira Nahuja, was unable to join us today, but I promised her that I would share some of the great work the White House Initiative on Asian American and Pacific Islanders is leading in support of college access and completion. Just by a show of hands, how many of you saw the President's State of the Union speech 2 weeks ago? Great. So you know how critical advancing the equity and opportunity agenda is for our country. It is not just an economic imperative, but a reflection of our country's values. We need to continue reaching, inspiring, and empowering all children, regardless of their race or ethnicity, their family's income, or their zip code, to have access to a quality education that allows him or her to achieve their full potential. Education is the civil rights issue of our generation. It remains the key to economic growth and prosperity for our country. Far too many students, especially in underserved communities, lack access to a quality education, including high-quality preschool, strong teaching, safe environments, and affordable higher education. I'm proud to work for this president and to follow the lead of outstanding members of his administration like Secretary Arne Duncan, because they've made concrete commitments to equity. They have thrown the full weight of the federal government behind efforts to make a real difference in the lives of students and families, and communities, especially those most in need. We don't often take the time to talk about progress being made, but we should acknowledge that the high school graduation rate is at its highest rate in 30 years, in large part because of increases for African American and Hispanic students. Dropout rates for African American and Hispanic students are down, and we are seeing increases in college attendance by minorities. Among those Hispanic students who do complete high school, the percentage enrolling in college is roughly equal to that of white students. We've increased the Pell Grant Max Award and the level of funding for Pell Grants, so the number of recipients has increased from 6 million to more than 9 million in the last 5 years. Of those, 700,000 additional Pell recipients are Hispanic students. We've simplified the FAFSA, the free application for federal student aid, used by nearly all colleges and universities to determine eligibility for federal, state, and college-sponsored financial aid, including grants, educational loans, and work-study programs. The average time it takes to complete it was cut in half, but we are still working on it. We know we have a long way to go to further simplify the FAFSA. And earlier this year, the department released guidelines for addressing the problem of racially discriminatory discipline practices in schools because students of color are far more likely to be removed from school for disciplinary reasons than other students. Over 50% of students involved in school-related arrests or referred to law enforcement are Black or Latino. The work ahead of us can only be met through a shared partnership involving all levels of government and institutions, as well as the business, education, labor, and philanthropic communities. Together, we must do more to prepare, inspire, and support the next generation of leaders. We all know the difference a great teacher makes. For me, it was the difference between taking a minimum wage job after I graduated from high school, which was pretty typical in my community, or pursuing a college education. The teachers in my life helped get me to this point. where I could lead a national White House initiative and represent my community with pride. Which is why a key priority for my initiative is increasing opportunities for more minorities to enter the teaching profession. At 54 million, without counting the roughly 3.8 million on the island of Puerto Rico, Hispanics in the US are the largest, youngest, and arguably the fastest growing population in the nation, and will represent 60% of our nation's population growth between 2005 and 2050. The largest minority group in our nation's public schools, nearly 1 in 4, are Hispanic, but less than 7% of teachers are Hispanic, and when broken down by gender, only 2% are males. Nearly half of Hispanics are concentrated in 2 states. Can anyone take a guess? Texas and California. I think California, it's its own country. There are communities in every single state in the nation, and that includes Hawaii and Alaska, and North Dakota and Idaho. Can anyone take a guess which state has experienced some of the largest growth by percentage over the last decade? Tennessee. Tennessee. Chances are, if you're not already working with this population of students, that you will be in the near future. We need to work in collaboration with you and other key organizations like Teach.org to strengthen the pipeline of leaders entering the teaching profession, because our kids deserve access to leaders who can best help them succeed. I want to thank Enrique Soto and Trish Guerrero Leon from Teach for America for helping us start the collaborative efforts on this front, especially to encourage more Hispanic males into the teaching profession. Earlier this year, we convened a White House roundtable focused on raising awareness on the state of education for Hispanic males, and we supported TFA's Entre Hermanos Summit that convened and engaged young Hispanic men who have the leadership skills, the passion, motivation, and drive to make a positive impact in their communities by completing their education. All of these efforts are in support of the President's 2020 college goal, the North Star Agenda. The President has made it a top priority to provide a complete and competitive education for all Americans from cradle to career, and he has set this ambitious goal for our country. By 2020, America will once again have the highest proportion of college graduates in the world, because a college education continues to be the best investment that any person can make in their future. For the Asian American and Pacific Islander community, a major hurdle to this goal is the current practices of data collection that aggregates AAPI subgroup data and makes disparities of underserved AAPI and mass disparities of underserved AAPI students. So what does this mean? Aggregated data takes communities that are not doing so well and mixes their numbers with communities that are doing well to come up with the data that falls somewhere in between the middle and mask the needs in the community where the resources are most needed. It just doesn't make sense. Disaggregated data will help us target resources where there are most needed in high schools where almost half of Cambodian students are not earning a diploma, in colleges where only 14% of Native Hawaiian Pacific Islanders graduate, and in communities where the average per capita income of Hmong Americans is lower than any racial group nationwide. As part of this effort, the AAPI initiative has collected successful practices and policies that schools are using to disaggregate AAPI student data to better help understand the needs of the AAPI community and identify where to best allocate those resources. In order to meet the President's 2020 goal, we are focusing on underserved students who are the fastest growing demographic but have the lowest rates of college attainment. Minority serving institutions play a key role. MSIs provide a gateway into underserved communities. Hispanic serving institutions, Asian American and Pacific Islander serving institutions, tribal colleges and universities, and historically Black colleges and universities are reaching low-income minority students in ways that matter most: retention, graduation, language access, and mentoring. So as you can see, we have a lot more to do, but we can continue to build on these investments and the key partnerships that have helped us achieve this progress. We all play a role in advancing the equity and opportunity agenda. I know many of you are already doing your part, and I look forward to working with you to realize the vision that many of us share, that every student deserves a quality education that prepares him or her to win the future. I want to thank you for your dedication and commitment to educating our nation's youth. I want to thank you for the sacrifices you've made to ensure students have the chance to be successful. And I want to thank you for choosing a profession that will inspire, motivate, and influence our next generation of leaders. For all that you have done and that you will continue to do in the future to support our youth, I want to thank you, thank you, thank you.